I wish to share with you a totally different topic. As most of you know, I have never charged for anything I did online. I had a fledgling t-shirt process for fun at one point, but that's it. We've never done Patreon, we've never done PayPal, we've never done donations, we've never had money sent. I've never monetized the channel. I've never had any kind of advertising or anything on here, and I have no sponsors. So all of that given, why am I here today? Well, I'm here today for a totally different purpose. None of you know this, but I have been sculpting since the 1970s. And over the period of this video, I will flash on some of my past sculptures. But the newest one I have that's out and I have now fully executed was originally a life-size sculpture of an Earth Mother. It was a vision that came to me 10 years ago maybe, and I have fully expressed it by sculpting the original, and then did half-size, quarter-size, and a little one to also give options for expressing the artwork that I did originally. And so today I'm going to share with you this artwork, and the idea is that perhaps somebody would like to have one. And in the process of doing that, I'm also going to share with you that while these are not inexpensive, because they're all hand done, every single one of them is hand done, by not putting this in a gallery or even putting it on an art website, I'm not sharing money with anybody else, and therefore I can sell them for less money. So if any of you have any interest in this, yes, this is monetized. And I think some of you will find it interesting, edifying, beautiful. So here is the example of the full-size model, and I'll start to roll through some of these as I proceed. Some of them that I did, the original in wax and the globe in addition, some of the process of doing it, some of the casting process, some of the patinas, and the various sizes, and I will show you pictures of various ones, including the bronze original, which I'll put up first, the wax in process. I also have, and you can see just off my shoulder, a 9-inch copper oxide one, which has a translucent blue globe, and I have a full-size one of those, and I'll share that as part of this video as well. If you have any interest in this sculpture, I have them from full size, as you will see from the pictures, from my size basically, life size, a full size woman seated, to half size to quarter size. The half size is about 18 inches tall, the full size is 36 inches tall, the quarter size is 9, if that makes sense. And then I have a little one as well that's just 4 inches tall. And for any of you who are interested, there is an address right here. I'll put it right here across the block so you can see it, and also an address in my comments as well. And you're free to send me an email, and I will send you an email back indicating the pricing and the timetables and the deposit and the rest of that has to be undertaken to do this. So in the interim, what I'd like to do is introduce the Earth Mother as a process that I have been working on for a very long time, and as something that has been basically infused into my body, kind of, because it was an idea which came to me originally, not from me mechanically doing it and then from me adjusting and working out from it. So I'm not even sure that I should claim the original authorship of it, although obviously it's copyrighted as such. And then I produced and envisioned a story of how this Earth Mother might have come into our public perception. Now, this is my story. This is not what really happened, but this is a story that ties it together and that intimates the kind of authenticity and of antiquities, which is what I tried to portray with the sculpture. So let me read you the story, and you can see how it ties to the visions that I have passed by you and will continue to pass by you throughout this video. It's titled Imma Mutter, and Imma Mutter is the name that I call it. It's called Mother Earth, and interestingly enough, Imma is mother and Mutter is earth. So Mutter and earth is a pretty interesting verbal interplay that goes back thousands of years and is Semitic, I think. For a time, Yasin stared at him, first with a look of doubt, and then with what appeared to be a dismissive expression. As she withdrew from her eye-to-eye contact, she closed her eyes, taking in slow and measured breaths. For what seemed like an eternity, as Yasin meditated, his brain raced with questions and doubts about his situation in this remote hut in Kenya, about her acceptance of him, and even about his own countenance. Finally, her whole being began to soften. Finally, she opened her eyes, she gazed at him, gradually sharing with him a gentle smile. She spoke to Makari and waved him to translate. My grandmother says she has probed the depths of your soul. You are okay. She will talk with you. He had been diligent in nurturing a connection with Makari. After meeting him at the quaint and remote Kenyan inn where the hotel manager had introduced them. Makari's grandmother, he had said, was an old shaman who lived in the hills and knew much of the lore of the area. Now that she had satisfied herself that he was genuine, might he learn something of import? He did not know, but the anticipation of it flooded his being. Please thank her. I would like to know the legends of your people, if she would share them. Makari translated to his grandmother, and when she responded, he shared. Ask what you would like to know. Perhaps we could begin with your oldest story, one about your origins. How did your people come into being? Upon hearing his request, Yasin closed her eyes and bowed her head. After a time, she slowly began narrating to Makari. Grandmother says there was a great goddess. We call her Imma Mutter. She floated in the universe until she came upon the Great Spirit, what you call the sun, and we call Yehudi. She was enchanted by him and reveled in his bright essence. She so loved the feeling of his warmth that she danced around and round him, spinning as she did. For eons she remained. Finally, Yehudi asked her to stay with him forever. She became pregnant with the idea of being with him, and as she did, her stomach grew and grew. As her pregnancy began to fully blossom, Imma stroked her body to form great lands. From her breast flowed crystal waters that fed streams, rivers, lakes, and oceans. From her breath, as she exhaled, her body became enveloped in air. She touched upon the lands and gave each of them plants which grew abundant and animals who roamed about. At last, just before she fully absorbed into the globe she had formed, she touched the source of all humanity, along the great rift of Africa, and there she left people in her own image. We are her children, all of us. Grandmother has never shared this with any outsider, but feels your goodness and honorable nature. Tomorrow she will take you to our sacred cave to show you an image of the goddess. The next day, he and Makari trekked to the end of the trail near Yasin's hut, where she met them. For a time, they followed the trail, but then slipped behind a grove of bushes to find a smaller path. Grandmother says you must be blindfolded, and I will guide you to the site. For what seemed like miles, he stumbled along the path, holding Makari's hand. Finally, his blindfold was removed. Yassine was standing next to a cave opening, and the men followed her into it. She picked up a torch and lit it, and there, deep in the back of the cave, on a throne-like pedestal, was the life-size statue of the pregnant goddess and Mother Earth they called Imma. Well, there's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So that's the story that I would use and that I have used as the source of this legend, of this lore, and of this sculpture. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoy my sculpture as well. If you have any interest in it, again, I will put the address where you can email me right here, and I will send you a follow-up email indicating the various sizes and bronze and resin options that are available. The bronzes come in limited editions, and will take 6 or 8 weeks, perhaps some more, for the big one to be produced. And the resin copies take a couple of weeks and are much less expensive, but are still handmade and hand finished. And so it's not like buying plastic at Walmart. So if you have any interest, again, take a look at the email address here. Send me a note, and I would be happy to respond. And thank you so much for your interest, for your curiosity, and for being able to share my story with you.